So hello everyone, welcome to one of the most interesting topics and important topic for not only you but your parents, your colleagues and your loved ones, because we are going to talk about generic medicines. So I have seen a lot of people are very skeptical about using generic medication because they do not know what exactly generic medicines are, what is their role and why exactly are they cheaper. So in this particular session I am going to help you understanding generic medication. I'm going to explain you why are they cheaper and how do they work. Okay, so let's start this session. So in this particular session, I'm going to focus on four areas. First is we'll understand what exactly are generic medicines. Next, we will answer all the queries and bust all the myth regarding generic medicine. Third, we will discuss the major challenges when it comes to generic medicines and what is the way forward for India in terms of helping these medicines for the benefit of the Indian market and the Indian people. So let's begin. So first understand what exactly are generic medicines. So generic medicines can be described as affordable version of branded drugs which are bought into the market once the original drug manufacturer's patent expire. So whenever a particular person or a company creates a drug that is patented, okay, essentially the clause is that when you invent a particular drug or a medicine, for the first 15 years you are the sole person who is going to sell that particular medication and no one is going to sell that. So essentially you have the advantage. This advantage is given because you can recover the cost of your research and development from those first 15 years. But once those 15 years are completed, the original drug manufacturer does not have that advantage and the patent expires. When that happens, then anyone can take that formula and make that particular medicine. Okay, so that is essentially generic medicines is. And this particular generic medicine, they are not inferior. They have the same potency, same quality, and they also work in the same and identical manner as the branded drug. Okay, these particular generic medicines are marketed either by the salt name or the brand name. For example, if you are using a particular medication for painkiller, for example, Combiflam, so Combiflam is the brand name of a particular drug. Disprin is the brand name of the drug. But what essentially is the chemical name or the salt name? Okay, so paracetamol. So paracetamol is essentially the chemical name or the salt name, and the brand name can be Disprin, aspirin, or any other type of name. Okay, so whenever the patent expires, the company are allowed to develop this particular medication, okay, based on the active ingredient, which is essentially the formula. These particular medication which are created after the patent expires using the active ingredient are called as generic medication, okay. And these particular medication comes with different brand names and has the same active ingredient as the original medicine, okay. So whenever you have two options of generic medicine or the original branded drug, essentially they will work in the same identical manner, having the same potency and quality. Okay, so this is regarding generic medicine. What not is generic is your certification. So if you have to have an edge in your career, if you have to move forward in your career, you cannot be generic, you have to have your certification. So go ahead and check out the certification in clinical research. So it is an advanced certification which essentially will help you regarding clinical data management and pharmacovigilance also. So admissions are open in the month of August, first week of August. So go ahead and call them and get yourself certified and have a good career. So now let's bust various myths regarding generic medicine. So essentially there are 6 important questions when it comes to generic medicine. Let's answer them one by one. So the first and foremost question when it comes to generic medicine is that Why this particular generic medicine are expensive? Because we are skeptical that will this medication work in the same manner. So as I've said that this generic medication are costing less than the brand name medicine. It is because that the manufacturer of the generic medicine has not work or invested his money in research and development. So he does not have the cost of R&D. So whatever cost is he has is for the manufacturing. So essentially manufacturing is a very smaller cost than developing that medication or inventing that medication. So that is why the generic medicine provider does not charge you that much, because he has not invested in R&D and he's able to produce that medication just through his production cost. That is why the generic medication are cheaper, and it is essentially an advantage for you as a customer or a consumer of that particular medicine. Next thing is that should you buy a particular generic medicine? Okay, so when it comes to generic medicine, it essentially costs at least 1/10 of the medication in some cases, and will have the same effect as the original. So whenever you have a choice of a medicine which essentially has the same active ingredient, one is costing you 100 rupees, one is costing you 10 rupees. So it makes financial sense to save your spending on medicine. Okay, because you are going to get the same medicine, then why do you need to spend more? So whenever you have a choice going forward, please opt for generic medicine, because it will essentially help your financial condition and save you a lot of cost on healthcare. Okay, the next question that a lot of people have is, why is the brand name different? Okay, so a brand name is the name given by the pharmaceutical company under which they do marketing. A generic name is essentially the name of the formula or the active ingredient. Okay, so they cannot infringe on the brand, so they will not name their medication after the brand, but essentially they will have the same active ingredient. That is why the names are different, but the medicine is the same. Next thing is that the generic medication are of different color and packaging. Okay, so when it comes to medicine, you have to understand that you have to look at the active ingredient, you have to look at the chemical formula. So if that formula is present, then the packaging shape and size can be different. Okay, and please have faith that this particular generic medication do also need government approval. So even if the shape, size or color is different, they will have the same active ingredient, same formula, they will work as effectively. Okay, next thing is when it comes to doctor's prescription. Okay, so now since a lot of medical practitioners, doctors are using this medication from the beginning, so they essentially have a tendency to market or to prescribe this particular drug. Okay, and when even they are getting educated in today's time, okay, and they shall even help you with generic medication. One of the amazing example that I've observed firsthand is for AIMS Delhi in India. Okay, so AIMS Delhi in India does not prescribe any particular medication that has a brand name. They will always give you generic medication. Now this is done through the orders of the government, because a lot of people cannot afford the high cost of medication, and generic medication shall help them in reducing that cost. So AIMS Delhi is going places. They are doing an amazing job in promoting generic medication in India. Okay, the final myth is regarding the choice. So you must understand it is an open choice. Only the difference is regarding awareness. Do you want to deliberately spend more on a medication which essentially works in the same manner as the cheaper medication? Okay, and please understand, when I say cheap, it does not mean that it is of a lower quality. What I mean is that financially it will cost you less. Okay, so whenever you have a generic alternative of a brand name, please go for the generic alternative, because essentially you are not concerned with the brand, you are concerned with the active ingredient, with the efficacy of the medication. So go ahead and suggest generic medication, and it can help a lot of people in reducing medical cost. So now let us look at what are the challenges for generic medication moving forward. So one of the major challenges that there are a lot of illegitimate drug, okay, that has posed an issue in India, okay, over a period of time. In 2018, the CDSU identified nearly 4.5% of the all generic drugs circulated in domestic and foreign markets were substandard. Okay, so it all boils down to the manufacturer. So sometimes they even have issues when it comes to manufacturing, and that is identified by the government. So that is a challenge, that we have to have stringent regulation. In the US, there are stringent quality control procedure and periodic quality checks also, but in India, we do not have that much stringent regulation, and there is a widespread of corruption also. And this particular thing has led to a lot of bureaucratic hassles, political connections interfering in the quality standards. So that we have to pay attention to. Another issue is that we see a lot of counterfeiting medication, in which the seller who operate at the retail level also uh, dubiously trick customers for substandard medication. So when it comes to generic medication, go only to the authorized sellers where you are taking medication, and there are a lot of places called as Pradhan Mantri Jan Aushadhi Kendras, where they have essentially standard medication. They do not counterfeit or provide you substandard medication. So when it comes to generic medication, now India is the pharmacy of the world, and it is very important what strategy India uses so as to help the world in healthcare. So the way forward for India essentially is that there are very key initiatives that the government has already taken in the form of Pradhan Mantri Bharatiya Jan Aushadhi Pariyojana, okay, under which they have essentially this kendras that they have installed across the country, that will help you supply quality generic medication, and this particular thing will essentially help in affordable healthcare and affordable prices for the people. So that is one of the good aspect and initiative taken from the government. Next is during the COVID-19 pandemic, it has boosted a lot of export of generic medication, because the entire world is going through economic hardship. So we have to save wherever we can, and but when it comes to healthcare, we cannot cheap out there. So we will use generic medication there and prevent the high cost of patented medication by using the financially affordable medicines in the form of generic medication. And in a lot of countries across the globe, they are using generic medication. For example, UK government has taken a stand that they are going to use generic medication moving forward to reduce the financial burden and provide quality medication to the population of United Kingdom. So that is again a good market where India can move forward and promote generic medications. And also the Indian generic medicine market stands at $24.53 billion in 2022, and this is expected to grow at a CAGR of 6.97% during the period from 2022 to 2027. So essentially, generic medication demand is also good. We have to spread awareness. We have to help people understand that whatever medication that generic medicines provide is the same quality, efficacy. So we just have to trust this medication and essentially revolutionize the cost of healthcare moving forward. Thank you for watching this video. Please circulate this with your friends, family, colleagues, so that we can help reduce financial cost and provide awareness to the masses. So thank you for watching this video. Make sure you like, share and subscribe.